Welcome to a brand new episode of Walking the Path podcast with yours truly, Rogelio Diaz. I know it's been some time since the last one. Today, we're going to dive deep. We're going to go really deep into three signs that you're ready for a major life change and how to embrace it. Right? Oftentimes, we don't know how. We just know stuff is happening, but what do we do? What do we do? There's chaos everywhere. You're unsatisfied with your life. You don't feel content anymore. Things are just falling apart. And that means you're ready for change. Enough is enough. It hurts. It hurts so much that you can't stand another second in your reality. So without further ado, we're gonna dive straight into sign number one. First, I got my notes over here. First and foremost, you feel restless and unfulfilled in your current situation. Comment down below if you relate to that. Like you can't either anymore. Whether it's a place, whether it's a situation, whether it's in a relationship, can't be there anymore. It hurts too much, right? I'll share a quick story. When I was 22, I had my major life changing moment. Um, and it was over a series of all these intense events, right? And they were brutal. Life just slapped me around left and right. And I had no choice but to surrender, but to change, but to embrace what was happening. Because 22, I was an alcoholic. I felt like a loser. I felt like a failure. I felt so small, inferior, like everybody was better than me. I had no purpose in life. I was working at UPS and I ended up getting two slip discs from working at UPS, just doing those long 15-hour days, and my body took a hit. And this was all happening just sequentially, right? That's the word. Yeah, in the sequence. And I was drinking. I felt like a failure, like a loser. I got an injury at UPS, and I lost all my friends. One by one, like dominoes just went falling out. I didn't know what to do. I felt so helpless. I felt so lost. And I went to bed one night. Right? This was my life changing moment. I went to bed thinking, is this going to be the rest of my life? Maybe you've had that question pop up sometimes, but I was drunk. I was drunk, and that question came through. And that's how powerful your spirit is, by the way. No matter what substance you're on, when it's time to change, it's gonna happen. It's like that. It's like that. And I remember laying there in bed asking that and replying no. And just keep in mind, I don't have at that point in my life, I didn't have questions like that. What the hell? What kind of question was that even to come through for me? But it did. I said no. And I realized I needed to change. I wasn't happy. I was drinking away the pain. I didn't even mention this. I ended I think it was like a 2 year relationship at that point, one or two, but it broke me. I found out she cheated on me, and I went through a whole spiral. That's why I started drinking in the first place. And I couldn't take it anymore. Maybe you can relate, right? Life knocked me down. I hit rock bottom, and I was out. But I made a decision that night that I was going to do one thing, just one thing, to better myself, improve myself, because I couldn't take that pain anymore, feeling all these negative perceptions about who I thought I was. They weren't even true, by the way. But in that moment, right? You think you're that failure, you think you're that loser, you think you're the smallness, and you believe it because it feels real. And your level of awareness is where it's at too. So what did I do? I made that choice. And the next morning I woke up, I went to the gym. That was the only thing, honestly, for a long time that was giving me purpose, any kind of purpose. And I worked out, got home, and I stayed true to my promise, stayed true to my word. I went on YouTube and I found this video titled "Why I Have No Friends," and it just seemed like divine timing. It was perfect. It was too perfect. Clicked it, watched it, and it was the video I needed in that moment. Little did I know that person on that other side of the screen was going to be my first mentor. And I listened to him for years. Years completely changed my life. I was teachable. I was willing to learn. I was even more willing to change. I had momentum. I was starting to find out my power, where like how powerful I really was, how powerful we really are. And that gave me hope, gave me belief, made me realize that maybe I can become more. Maybe I can expand. Maybe I can be a winner. So I kept learning. I kept learning. I even bought a session from a mentor, and things just changed. Things changed drastically. But it took so much pain, so much stacking of those negative experiences for me to finally get to that breaking point. There's an old story, and it reminds me of this old story about a dog sitting on a nail, howling and crying and weeping for hours, for hours. And somebody walks by and he sees a dog sitting on the nail just crying. And he asks this person that was around there, he asked them, why is that dog sitting on the nail and not moving? Doesn't it hurt? Doesn't, right? The dog's been there for hours and he'll just he'll go back to sleep, then he'll howl and he'll cry. And then he would just go again, he'll repeat the cycle. And the other guy replied, it must not hurt bad enough for the dog to move. Because if it did hurt bad enough, the dog would move. And I think that's the case in so many situations and uh so many times of change. Our spirit has to put us through X amount of pain, whatever it takes for you to get to that breaking point, for you to really finally say enough is enough. I'm ready to change. And your mind is open. You're willing now. You refuse to tolerate your current reality anymore, right? And that's when things really start to happen. So that's the first sign. That's really the first sign. Second, you are outgrowing relationships, habits, and your environment. Maybe there's a couple friendships that are falling apart. Maybe there's old habits that just don't make sense for you to hold on to anymore. And you don't even know why you're doing it. You're just puffing away or drinking away. You don't know. Background is because you're trying to escape, right? It's a quick nugget there. You're trying to escape from some kind of pain. But as you heal, as you become more aware, that's the key, right? If you become more aware of who you are, of your true power, you need that stuff less and less. But sometimes you got to mess with something to realize that you don't need it. Now, I never forget that. That's something that my mentor told me. But also, you can't put so much pressure on yourself that you have to stop today, because that's a mistake that I made. And one of the best pieces of advice that I got for that was, Roy, what if it's not time for you to stop drinking? Just what if? When I heard that, yeah, I felt like I could breathe. I felt so much relief. The pressure was gone. And I had it in my mind, this is so bad. I got to change now. I got to change now. Right. And there's so many ways that we get to change, right? Because, right, it's like a paradox, because you resisting that change is also what's causing the habit and the change not to happen, because you're putting so much pressure on yourself, right? So it could go both ways. I bet you weren't expecting that. It could go both ways. You could either, but that's acknowledgement, that's acceptance when you say, you know what? Yeah, maybe it's not time for me to stop drinking right now. I mean, it's not time for me to quit that substance right now. And then by just doing that, it will organically uh, start to leave your life. But it could also be the other way. Again, what happened to me? I just it was an overnight thing, and you couldn't stand another day, right? And so you that that's what tends to happen, and you tend to that's the meaning of outgrowing your habits as well. Like when you're healing and you become more aware, you realize you don't need it, but take the pressure off, man. Like it's gonna happen, or you're just gonna you're gonna be the one that's in control of it, and you're not gonna it's not gonna be controlling you every day and pulling you left and right. But also relationships, a lot of relationships fall out. Be romantic, be your friends, because your frequency, the next version of you is here, and your frequency is rising. So naturally, habits, relationships are gonna fall off because just so you're not on the same wavelength anymore. At one point, you and your friends were all at 93.5, right? At that frequency, let's say that radio station. You say you all listen to that, but you wake up, you awaken, and you realize, wait, I don't even like listening to this. Why am I listening to this radio station? Why am I at 93.5? Let me try 92.3, right? Or even 96.3, right? Like it just you're at a different frequency. And that's what happens. So there's different, random fights, people just ghost you, or you feel like I can't, you have to cut people off. It's all a part of it. It's all a part of it. But it's happening for you. And you'll thank your spirit later for it because not everybody can go with you, not even family, unfortunately. That's just how it goes. That's how it goes. Get it? Oh, freaking siren going off. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, you're gonna lose people. You're gonna outgrow your environment. I had to leave Chicago because of all the things, because of the habits that I had while I was there, the friends that I had when I was there, and my environment. There was just so much conditioning to a version of me that my family knew and that became while I was living in Chicago. I lived there for 27 years, and I ended up moving to Sedona, Arizona. After 27 years, I went to a retreat. It was 4 days, stayed there. I never went back to Chicago. And I realized, wow, just how much my environment was affecting me. And yes, you can still change. You can still change because it's still all internal. But I realized that I wanted something new. I wanted to find more of myself somewhere else because I felt caged. I felt limited. I felt like a kid living with my parents. And I don't know if you're aware with the Hispanic culture, but you're still mommy's little boy. You're still daddy's little girl, and like your parents, no matter freaking 27. I was 27. My mom still saw me as a little boy. It, it's cute, but when you get treated like that, it ain't cute because we got into a lot of fights because of that. And I had to find out what I could do. I had to be my own man. I had to go and I had to change my environment. And I knew it was time. I was wanting to for so long, but it was one thing after another why it wouldn't happen. But after in that moment when I decided to go to the retreat, and I met some cool ass people. I just I knew, wow, this is why it didn't work out before. That was why. Because I was my destiny was to move to Sedona. And then I was hopping around. I felt so free. Um, because I moved, my friends moved that I met at the retreat. They moved there too. And we were traveling. It was the time of my life. Time of my life. It felt so free. We were we went to Scottsdale, Arizona. We went to Phoenix, Arizona. We went to Flagstaff, Arizona. Surprise, Arizona. When I ended up me and actually I met my girlfriend at that my new girlfriend at the retreat. I ended a relationship, a 5 year relationship previous to going to that retreat. Or no, not previous. At 2 days before the retreat. Yeah, it was previous. 2 days before. And then I met my future wife. And when you take those kinds of leaps, that's what's possible. Yeah, I was afraid. I had no idea. I was an early coach back then, and I lost all the clients that I had. There was no logical reasons to move there. All I had was my car and my luggage that I brought for the retreat. But when you want something, you go burn the boats. I was willing to fast. I was willing to stay in my car. And God, I didn't have to do that. I had support, but I was willing to. And the universe knew I was serious. Right. But yeah, I ended up staying in Flagstaff for some time. And now I'm in Austin, Austin, Texas, and living here for a couple of years. And it's been nice. It's been nice. It's been growing and changed my environment. I outgrew relationships. I outgrew habits. But I always you remember something from this podcast episode. Keep healing and keep learning. Because if you keep healing and learning, you're going to keep growing. You're going to keep expanding. You're going to keep bettering yourself. You're going to start, for me, just started with learning one new thing. It was a YouTube video. That's it. I didn't even write anything down. Just a YouTube video. And that brought out something inside of me that I didn't even know was there. Here we are almost 5 years later, giving it back, sharing. I'd laugh. You told me I'd be doing this right now. Seriously. Me? What? I'm going from drinking half a bottle of Bombay every other day here sharing this wisdom with you. No way. No way. But third sign, last but not least, there's an intense urge to redefine your purpose or path. Intense urge. Like again, you have to. Not that you're thinking about it or you're wishing about it. Like you have to find some kind of higher purpose. And sometimes it comes from inspiration. Sometimes it comes from pain. For me, it came from pain because I felt like nothing. I felt like nothing. And I had to prove to myself that I was something, that I was enough, that I had something to give. And that got me off the ground. But you don't want to use that fuel for a long time because it runs out. And even the anger that comes with that fuel runs out. And you get to a point where you're just damaging yourself and you're hurting yourself. But I had to redefine who I was, right? In order, honestly, yeah, that's the other thing too. You got to redefine who you are in order to redefine your purpose and path. So what I did to do that is I started, I traded one addiction for another, but it helped me in that moment. Instead of drinking how I was, I drank less and I started taking pre-workouts. And pre-workout, I still felt like that dopamine hit. I still felt good. But I was able to stay away from alcohol because of that. So I would record videos in my garage, my parents' garage. I would record videos in my car and just start sharing. But what caused that, what triggered me to want to start sharing was coming across my mentor, right, on YouTube, and also this course that I ended up getting from my second mentor. And I realized that, hey, that's what made me realize that I can share this material, that I can help people with this. People were coming to me for advice just out of the blue. And that's also a pattern. If you're meant to be a coach, some kind of guide, people just have this natural attraction to you where they ask you for advice. Like you're that one person they go to when they can't figure something out or they just need help. And that was the case. So I started trying, like, you know what? Let me try. Let me try to help. And again, here we are almost 5 years later. Self-empowerment mentor slash coach. But that what made me redefine it and what gave me that intense urge was all that pain. I couldn't be who I was anymore. I had to make a choice. And I decided I could be something more, right? Committed to changing myself, my paradigms, my way of thinking, my way of being, because I used to think I was the most unluckiest person in the world. I was such a freaking victim, such a victim. I didn't even know. I had to go through the process of becoming a victor, becoming someone that, hey, that takes full accountability for their life, that isn't afraid to face themselves. I did that. I'm still doing that. It doesn't just, like every day you got to be taking accountability. Every day you have to be willing to do what's necessary and know that it's on you. Whatever happen, whatever the outcome is from your decision, from your action, it's on you. And take take the consequences or and the good things that come with it, right? With your choices. But yeah, that's what happens. That's what happens. Again, you got your three signs. I hope this helped. And if you're lost, if you maybe you have a similar story and you don't know what path to walk, just start somewhere. Start find something that makes you feel good. And my first passion for me was personal training. I love working out, and I wanted to help others do the same. Just train and help them get in good health and good shape. And that was my first passion. But that didn't work out, and then it led me to this, what I'm doing now. Just start what comes to you effortlessly. What can you do for hours? And where you're in that flow state, where your heart's connected to it, where you feel so damn good, you can just keep doing it. That's where you want to start looking at, or even stuff that you just talk about with your friends. It happens so organically for you. It just comes out. You just talk. You talk about it. It could be a certain subject. Some people or it could be something that's helped you tremendously. I became a coach because coaching helped me so much. I got so much healing. I received so much support, so much guidance from my mentors and the way they coach me. It's always right in front of you. Look at your story. Look at your story and the gift that you received from it. Because your gift is often a gift that you receive from other people. And it's a reflection. So I'm going to finish up this podcast here. Thank you so much for listening, guys. And if you would like to learn more about what it is I do or work one on one with me, I'm going to drop the link in the description. If you have any questions, you can send me a DM on Instagram. That'll be the best place to reach me. It's at Rogelio Diaz Official. Again, at Rogelio Diaz Official. You'll be able to just DM me and say, hey, Roy, I watched your podcast. I would love to know more about how I can work with you. Much love. Till next time. And I really, really hope that you